This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(8:45). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lal Mallavarachi and read by Indrani Senanayake. The headlines. Police say that public meetings and protests have been banned until further notice. Health workers end their strike. The vaccination program is successfully implemented in the investment zones. The total number of COVID cases confirmed in the country thus far reaches 267,149, and the number of total recoveries are 2,369,659. Secretary-General of Parliament informs the Elections Commission of the seat vacated by parliamentarian Jayantha Katagoda. The Paddy Marketing Board plans to purchase the paddy harvest of this Yala season from farmers at the guaranteed price. In foreign news, Afghan Army says US left Bagram Air Base at night with no notice. And in sports news, the Australian Grand Prix has been called off for the second year in a row due to the pandemic. Sri Lanka police announced today that activities such as public meetings and protests where large numbers of people gather will not be permitted until further notice. The directives have been issued by the Director General of Health Services, taking into account the risks of further spread of the novel coronavirus. The police stressed that stern action will be taken against those who violate this quarantine regulation. Several health sector trade unions have called off their ongoing strike following discussions with the Minister of Health, Pavitra Wanyarachi. The Joint Council of Professions, supplementary to Medicine yesterday, said that they would resort to indefinite trade union action if the authorities fail to provide solutions to their demands within the day. The Joint Council carried out trade union action with its members reporting sick based on 14 demands, including the granting of promotions. Chairman of the Board of Investment, Sanjay Mahotwala, says that the vaccination program is successfully implemented in the investment zones at present. 60% of the employees in all institutions, these coming under the purview of the BOI, have been vaccinated by now. All the employees will be vaccinated by next month. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
We continue with local news. The Director General of Health Services has confirmed 45 more COVID-19 related fatalities that had occurred yesterday. These deaths had pushed the official death toll due to the virus in Sri Lanka to 3,313. The new victims confirmed today include 15 females and 30 males. Meanwhile, another 650 persons have tested positive for coronavirus today. This brings the total number of cases confirmed in the country thus far to 267,149. Head of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19 Outbreak, General Shavendra Silva, says the low number of reported cases is due to the delays and decreased testing due to strikes of health sector trade unions. Presently, 27,222 infected patients are being treated at hospitals and treatment centres across the island. Meanwhile, the number of total recoveries has reached 236,659. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved a proposal to implement a paddy purchasing program for the Yalla season 2021. The estimated paddy harvest for this Yalla season is 1,500,000 metric tons. The Paddy Marketing Board plans to purchase a significant portion of this. Accordingly, the Nadu variety of paddy will be purchased from farmers at the guaranteed price of 50 rupees per kilogram. The Samba variety at 52 rupees and Kiri Samba at 55 rupees per kilogram. The Sri Lanka Navy says that about 98 kilograms and 500 grams of Kerala cannabis were seized by them during a special operation conducted in the seas north of Kovilam, Jaffna, and 3 were arrested along with a dinghy. The Sri Lanka Navy has increased patrols and has been conducting regular operations in the island waters to ward off wide-ranging nefarious activities, including the smuggling of drugs via sea routes. During a similar operation today, the inshore patrol craft P011 of the Northern Naval Command has intercepted a suspicious dinghy in seas north of Kovilam while it was heading ashore. The dinghy had been loaded with 4 sacks of Kerala cannabis weighing about 98 kilograms and 500 grams. Along with the consignment of Kerala cannabis, 3 suspects and the dinghy used for this illegal activity were taken into naval custody. Next, we take a look at the main news story.
The largest bonus declared in the history of the Sri Lankan insurance industry. Sri Lanka Insurance Grand Bonus, an unmatchable bonus of 8.6 billion rupees only for Sri Lanka Insurance life policy holders from the nation's largest insurer. Call 0112 357 357 for more details. Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Secretary-General of Parliament, Dhammika Dasanayaka, has informed the Chairman of the Election Commission in writing that parliamentarian Jayantha Katagoda has resigned and thereby vacated his seat in Parliament with effect from today. Accordingly, the letter sent to the Elections Commission by the Secretary-General states that the seat of the Member of Parliament will be vacated under the Elections Act No. 1 of 1981 as amended by the Elections Act No. 35 of 1988. Parliamentarian Jayantha Katagoda, National List Member of Parliament for the Sri Lanka People's Front, resigned from his post as a Member of Parliament reportedly to pave the way for Basil Rajapaksa to enter Parliament as a National List MP of the SLBC. That was the main news story. Watchlight is next.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On to Watchlight. The Royal Norwegian Embassy sources say that the embassy has shifted from its former premises at Buller's Lane, Colombo 7 to an office complex in Colombo 2. The embassy is now located on the 5th floor of the M2M building at number 34 WAD Ramanayaka Mawatha, Colombo 2. Due to the current pandemic situation, a prior appointment is necessary for any consular matter. It is possible to reach the embassy on its regular phone number +94 115 608 700 or email at emb.colombo@mfa.no or consular@colombo@mfa.no. That was Watchlight. Next we take a look at the world news. Afghan army says US left Bagram Air Base at night with no notice. Debris from the missing plane found on Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. New Zealand farmer convicted for animal neglect after 226 sheep are euthanized. The US military left Bagram airfield, its key base in Afghanistan, in the dead of night without notifying the Afghans, the base new commander said. General Abdullah Koshitan told the BBC that the US left Bagram at 3 hours local time on Friday and that the Afghan military found out hours later. Bagram also contains a prison and there are reportedly up to 5,000 Taliban prisoners left in the facility. The Taliban has been advancing rapidly in Afghanistan as US troops withdrew. Debris from a passenger plane carrying 28 people, which went missing in the Russian Far East on Tuesday, has been found, officials say. The AN-26 aircraft lost contact with air traffic control shortly before it was due to land in the settlement of Palana, in the north of remote Kamchatka Peninsula. It is thought unlikely that anyone survived the crash. The plane was carrying and flying from the regional center Petropavlovsky. A New Zealand farmer has been convicted of mistreating his sheep after 226 of them had to be euthanized. The animals were found to be severely malnutritioned and ill and were put down. Farmer Bevan Scott Trait had pleaded guilty, although his defense said that he has been suffering from depression and has not received enough support. Yesterday, he was sentenced to 9 months home detention and 150 hours community work under the Animal Welfare Act. To end this bulletin of world news, we take a look at the headlines again. Afghan army says US left Bagram Air Base at night with no notice. Debris from the missing plane found on Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. New Zealand farmer convicted for animal neglect after 226 sheep are euthanized. That ends this bulletin of world news. Development news follows. Construction work of the new Mathura Pradeshya Sabha building complex has been completed. Mathura Pradeshya Sabha chairman Vimal Priyajankar said the two-storied building comprising an office complex, auditorium, meeting hall, a public library and children's library with reading rooms is situated in the complex. In addition, it will also house the Bank of Ceylon and sales stalls. The building complex, constructed under the Puranagama project, cost 100 million rupees. It is expected to be vested in the people at the end of this month, the Mathura Pradeshya Sabha chairman said. That was development news. A look at sports news next. The world governing body for athletics, World Athletics, has confirmed that Sri Lanka's women's 800-meter runner Nimali Leonaracci has qualified for the Tokyo Olympic Games. Vice President Sri Lanka Athletics, GLS Pereira, says that Leonaracci has qualified with a universal place for the women's 800 meters event, and it has been approved by the World Athletics body. The Australian Grand Prix has been called off for the second year in a row because of the coronavirus pandemic. The Australian round of the MotoGP World Championship, scheduled for the 24th of October, has also been cancelled. The Formula One event was due to take place from the 19th to the 21st of November, but has been abandoned because of tight border controls in Australia. Australian Grand Prix Corporation Chairman Paul Little said in a statement that he was deeply disappointed. That was a look at sports news. Business news follows.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
On to business news. The Cabinet has approved the import of sugar and red dal from India and Australia, and these to be sold through the Laksala Satosa and cooperative outlets. The decision was taken to maintain essential food items in the market without a shortage amid the pandemic. That was business news. Economic news follows.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
We get on to economic news. A government overdraft with Sri Lanka state banks has soared to 620 billion rupees or 3.7% of the gross domestic product by April 2021, up from 304.4 billion rupees as spending grew and revenues were under pressure due to tax cuts and the pandemic, official data showed. The overdraft is now also bigger than the total government revenues in the first 4 months of 2021, which were at 481.7 billion rupees or about 2.9% of the GDP, and is also bigger than the budget deficit of 520 billion rupees or 3.2% of GDP. Revenues in the first 4 months were down 19% from 598 billion rupees in 2019. But current spending was up 19% to 890 billion rupees. Current spending grew to 70 billion rupees from 2019 to 2020 and another 70 billion rupees in 2021, mostly with the salary bill. That was a look at economic news. Finally, we take a look at the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue in partnership with the Ministry of Education introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern, southern and central provinces. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, can be expected at some places. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere in the evening or at night. That was a look at the weather report. To end tonight's news broadcast,
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue in partnership with the Ministry of Education introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
to end tonight's news broadcast, we take a look at the headlines again. Police say that public meetings and protests have been banned until further notice. Health workers end their strike. The vaccination program is successfully implemented in the investment zones. The total number of COVID cases confirmed in the country thus far reaches 267,149, and the number of total recoveries are 236,659. Secretary-General of Parliament informs the Election Commission of the seat vacated by parliamentarian Jayantha Kataguda. The Paddy Marketing Board plans to purchase the paddy harvest of this Yala season from farmers at the guaranteed prices. In foreign news, Afghan Army says US left Bagram Air Base at night with no notice. And in sports news, the Australian Grand Prix has been called off for the second year in a row due to the pandemic. That ends tonight's news broadcast.